I have been joined by Edward Tuttor, who is the convener of the Dynamic Youth Movement. How are you, of Ghana?
Good morning,
Edward. How are you?
I'm doing well, by the grace of God.
Good to see you.
And I can see you are doing very good by yourself, too.
Thank you. I also have with me Duncan Amoah, who's the Executive Secretary of COPEC. Good morning, Duncan.
And please do add your runaway boyfriend. I just returned.
Where were you?
And, well, I took a trip away.
Where did you go?
We need to get money for Christmas.
To buy some Ghana rice and some
Ghana
goats.
And I wish that I was in a position to give 2 bags of rice to your viewers. So that they could also have a feel of what your campaign has been all this while.
Yeah.
I think that is one thing that every Ghanaian must come on board to sustain, because these farmers, they are uncles, friends, fathers, and all of them. So if they have a certain commodity that we all use on a day-to-day basis, I think that from where you have started with the rice ambassador in chief, it should bode well for all of us to join this. If we all do 1 cup a day in Ghana, 30 million, that's about 30 million cups.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will be a lot of bags, a lot of business for these.
Or even 1 bag a month. You can start with that.
Can you imagine? So I wish I had the opportunity to also give out 2 bags.
Just come on the 14th and 15th and maybe, give a...
Oh, you have a rice festival?
Yes, we have a Christmas Made in Ghana festival on the 14th and 15th of December, so you'll be there. I hope you participate in the jollof competition as well.
My cooking, I probably can't eat. Others will eat and go home.
No, nobody's going to eat your food. Okay. But Edward, you'll be there as well, right, on the 14th and 15th. Excellent, thank you. So we're going to delve right into our first story. I'm reading from citinewsroom.com, and it says, "Stop hounding Domolevo and arrest Osafo Mafo over $1 million call payment." That's coming from the NDC. So it says here, the National Democratic Congress is demanding the arrest and prosecution of Yao Osafo Mafo, the senior minister, over an alleged $1 million deal with UK firm Kroll Associates. So at a press conference addressed by the Secretary General, or the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun-Ketia, the party insists that the current controversies surrounding the Auditor General, Daniel Domolevo, are attempts by the government to have him removed to prevent scrutiny of the deal. So we all know that EOCO called the Auditor General to come in for some investigations a couple of weeks ago. It has something to do with some buses, the purchasing of some buses, and so procurement breaches. The Auditor General came to say that EOCO is not in charge. It's actually the special prosecutor that should be investigating him, so he won't show up. And now NDC is adding his voice to it. So I'm going to quote what the NDC said. They said, okay, the NDC stressed that President Akufo-Addo must demonstrate that no one is above the laws of Ghana, including Yao Osafo Mafo. So I'm going to quote them. This EOCO investigation is designed as retribution against Mr. Domolevo because he has been on the tail of Yao Osafo Mafo over the latest involvement in the massive corruption scandal under which $1 million was paid Kroll Associates, a UK company, for no work done. Rather than hounding Mr. Domolevo, we are, by this press conference, calling on President Akufo-Addo to immediately order the arrest and prosecution of Mr. Yao Osafo Mafo for the breaches of the Public Procurement Act. We demand an immediate cessation of the hostile victimization of Mr. Domolevo by Akufo-Addo government. So, Duncan, let me start here with you. Do they have a point that Mr. Domolevo is being attacked unfairly for going after the senior minister? Or should Mr. Domolevo just be, submit to investigations and allow EOCO do whatever it is that they want to do?
Thank you once again, Dziffa. And like I had indicated earlier, it's good to be back here. Fortunately, one of my godmothers is actually watching. I didn't even know. She says that she wants the rice.
Aww.
So permit me to say good morning to you, Auntie Vida, formerly of Goyle. I'm sure she enjoys your program every morning. And she wants the rice, so 14th, 15th, I'm sure we'll have to bring her here too.
To participate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now to this whole impasse between the Auditor General, the senior minister on one side, EOCO on the other. I think that it should be situated in a much broader context or perspective. It should not be about the persons or the character of the persons involved. It should be about state institutions, it should be about accountability, it should be about transparency, it should be about the fight against corruption generally. Are we as a people willing to support people who will stand up to say red is red, blue is blue, and red cannot be blue, and so can blue not be red? And so if you have the Auditor General's office, for the first time since probably I got to have beard or got to have any good memory, able to now take on some of these heavyweight politicians, one would expect that we would all, as a people, help in that fight. Because once he succeeds, what it means is that every single politician in our country will now have to be wary of how they dissipate or spend our nation's resources. Once we crack whip on him, once we silence him and shut him up, what we are doing effectively is to give a leeway, some free space for political actors, especially those perceived to be of a certain weight, ministers, even down to the MMDAs. We will just be emboldening them further in rooting corruption in our body politics or in our governance systems. And I think that it was in the right direction when the CSOs had issued some, support for the Auditor General, because basically and virtually what every CSO has canvassed in this country boils down to transparency, accountability, judicious use of our resources, and all of that. And here you find a public institution like the Auditor General's office, who believes that a certain $1 million USD funds had been misapplied. Now, he has written surcharging a certain senior minister. I believe strongly that instead of using another state institution against this person, the senior minister should be allowed to go through the due process of law. If he has, some further and better particulars that may not be available to the Auditor General, should make it available. But if at the end of the day, it so happens that it is the senior minister who probably on his own went alone to dissipate $1 million to Kroll and Associates, then authorities in this country, higher and above the senior minister, I'm talking of the AG, not in terms of political whatever, but hierarchy. People that should be embarking on prosecutions, should set a certain minimum example to all of us. That look, once these things come up, once you cannot substantiate how these monies have been used, we'll probably take legal action against you. It shouldn't be that, Dziffa, when I go to take 2 cities, 3 cities within a week, I'm jailed 20 years to Insawam, and people
the government is actually challenging this, and some people have even critiqued the Auditor General that he may have come out to the public too fast. And the senior minister even came out to say that there was some work done for that money.
Dziffa, so you have two of them conflicting.
How?
The Auditor General believes that the money had not been put to good use. He had written memos upon memos asking for whatever processes that the money had been put to. He probably hasn't received any. So he has a right and a justifiable basis to suggest or believe that the money has been misapplied.
But aren't these two separate issues? If the Auditor General is going after the senior minister for some $1 million deal that the senior minister did, that's completely different from the Auditor General itself procuring some vehicles and also being wrong in the process.
You see, Dziffa, if EOCO is minded and would want to do proper value for money audits, I'm sure that a lot of our public institutions, as we speak, either people would have been sent to jail long ago or people would be facing serious law court issues.
But what's so wrong with the Auditor General just saying, I would participate?
See, in the minds of the public, the Auditor General had no problem with EOCO until he had started hounding the senior minister.
Okay.
So look at the precedent. What happened, what precipitated where we are today? It started off with the Auditor General saying, look, senior minister, there's a certain $1 million payment that we are not clear according to our audit reports. If there's any further and better particulars, let us have it. I'm sure over the past period, the number of months that he's been following, he's got no response. So he now takes on a senior political figure in the country. Just when he takes on the senior political figure, you have another state agency coming out to say, hey, we are coming to also audit you on some vehicles. I am quite certain that if it is about the Auditor General's office, right, they are senior administrators.
Some other people have participated in investigations
but
from his office. Why can't he just participate as well?
Dziffa, from the account we have heard, the others went, statements or whatever were taking, or they were asked questions. But he went and he had to sign a bill. Already, it is being perceived as witch hunting simply because of the character of the person Domilevo. And I am saying this. If any Ghanaian sits and think, oh, let us allow EOCO to go after Domilevo.
Not necessarily going after.
That is exactly what they are doing. Dziffa, what are you investigating? If Domilevo has taken 2 cities into his pocket, publish so. But don't talk about procurement of vehicles. He's not a procurement officer. As far as the Auditor General's office is concerned, he may have administrators. If you find that probably he has signed a certain deal, publish same and let us know that what he signed was of cronyism, things that should be bought for 10,000, he bought them for 100,000. Then you are building a case for all of us. But just inviting him and saying, look, we are also investigating you because you are investigating a certain senior political figure.
That's not the reason they gave.
Dziffa, it is exactly what Ghanaians perceive. And people like us...
perceptions can be wrong.
Perceptions may not always be wrong, especially when they are grounded on certain, precedents. Things have gone on. The man has only shown mettle. That as far as he's concerned, whether it is a senior political figure, a senior government person, if it is a matter of misappropriation of funds, he will go after it. He has demonstrated that, and now he's being hounded. That clearly must not be allowed to continue.
Thank you very much. Edward.
Dziffa, let me say good morning to you again and our viewers out there. Dziffa, this is a very serious matter. It has been boiling for some months now. And I believe it is important that, we take some historical snapshots and get to understand the crux of the matter. The so-called procurement breach that has occurred at the audit service. In 2018, what has come to bear so far is what I'm actually repeating, that the audit service wanted to procure some buses to the tune of 6.1 million Ghana cedis. And according to what we've heard, some members or some entities within the audit service were not satisfied with what actually went on. So they invited the PPA to actually come in. The PPA came in, and in December of 2018, their judgment of the issue was that whatever that has happened, payment has not yet been made. Payment has not yet been made. So they should go ahead and make payment. Simply because if the payment is not made, there's likely to be some judgment debt. And per their analysis and investigations, the state was not shortchanged. So 2 things are key here. Payment for the buses had not yet taken place as at the time the PPA concluded its investigations. The PPA also said that the state has not been shortchanged, so there was value for money. And on the 3rd of January 2019, the PPA wrote to the audit service that go ahead and make payment. All right. So now, if there is perceived procurement breaches, why will the state regulator in charge of procurement say that go ahead and make payment? Because it is perceived that when there are procurement breaches, it means somebody has personal interest. Somebody is trying to get the entity or the state to be shortchanged.
Is there anything wrong with calling Domilevo in for investigation? Is he above the law because he's done such a great job as an Auditor General?
There is absolutely nothing wrong. Everybody, so far as rule of law is concerned, everybody is supposed to subject him or herself for investigations.
So why don't we just encourage him to do so?
But you see, Dziffa,
he's a citizen before anything else.
Dziffa, what is going on so far smacks so much of personal vendetta.
Okay, how so?
And I'm going to explain. So far as we are talking about procurement, we have the PPA Act that governs and manages and directs everything that has to do with procurement. Section 20, Section 66 actually directs what every entity tender committee of every state organization or agency or department should do. It is not up to any chief executive, any minister, not even the president, to actually dictate how procurement should be done. Now, when you come to Section 20 of the PPA Act, and you come to Schedule 1B, Category 3, okay? The law, the PPA law, it gives direction as to how entity tender committees should be constituted. And it is by representation. So in the case of the audit service like this, we have a representative from the Auditor General, not below the rank of a principal state attorney. Then we have the Director of Finance. Then we have representative from 2 professional bodies and whatnot. This is what is stated there. So it is not even up to Dumelevo or whoever is there to say that, okay, I want A, I want B, I want C. You understand? Now, the composition of the entity tender committee of the audit service alone, if you have a principal state attorney from the Department of the Attorney General, you understand? Do you think that person will sit down and ensure that certain thing is done? Granted, it is even done. Why would the PPA, after investigations, say, go ahead and make payments?
So if, let's say the PPA got it wrong, does that stop EOCO from asking the Auditor General to come in for investigation?
Dziffa, I'm coming. So now, let's even take it that there were infractions. Now, the regulator, who superintends over procurement, says that because there were so-called breaches, you go ahead and make payment. How is that? Is that not recklessness?
So you're saying they should have gone after the PPA instead of the Auditor General?
What I'm saying is, whatever went on within that procurement process of those buses, all right, the PPA stopped it by saying, go ahead and make payment. And we all know that it is payment that actually commits an individual to a particular transaction. If you don't make payment, it means we have every opportunity to make changes and make sure that the correct thing is done.
Okay.
So if you are telling me that go ahead and make payment and I comply, how then do you now, the same PPA, you now write to the Attorney General that there's likely to be some sort of, malfeasance. So go and investigate. Now let me come to the EOCO aspect. Look, the silence of the Attorney General on this particular matter is very, very, very loud. And it is very, very, very worrying. Because both the EOCO and the Office of Special Prosecutor, they all draw their powers from Article 88 of the Constitution. Meaning, these 2 investigative organizations are direct offshoots of the Attorney General. Okay? Now, until the Office of Special Prosecutor came in, EOCO investigate cybercrime, they investigate corruption, which included potential procurement breaches. Now, you, this same Attorney General, you spearheaded the formation of the Office of Special Prosecutor. It was your outfit that drafted the whole act, the bill itself. You led the process, and additionally, you even spearheaded the amendment of the EOCO Act, which means portions that are likely to conflict with the Office of Special Prosecutor. It was what? It was recalled or expunged from the Act. So as we have it, the jurisdiction of the Office of Special Prosecutor has been clearly defined, which is to investigate offences that fall under the Criminal Code of Ghana or the Criminal Offences Act, and also all procurement breaches.
Does that stop EOCO from doing similar investigations?
Dziffa, so far we are talking about jurisdiction. When we are talking about jurisdiction, we are talking about 2 main things. We are talking about how constituted a body is legally to be able to qualify as a natural person or as a corporate body. Then number 2, which is the most important, has to do with a clearly defined line of responsibility. The boundary within which you should operate, which is backed by law. So you, EOCO, you know very well that procurement breaches have been taken from you and have been given to the Office of Special Prosecutor.
But the Office of Special Prosecutor also may not have the resources to get that done.
Clearly, the Attorney General, you also know clearly that the amendment that you yourself made that brought in the Office of the Prosecutor made changes to the Act of EOCO. So why is she silent on this matter? That EOCO is trying to usurp the powers of the Office of the Prosecutor, and you are quiet about it. Meanwhile, these two agencies, they draw their powers from you. So I think in this whole matter, look, Dziffa, let's call a spade a spade.
Okay.
Corruption is a matter that really eats into our development. It retards growth and development, okay? And it's a matter that we are all concerned about. If we believe in the principles of accountability, transparency, and nation building, then anybody that tries to impede the fight against corruption, that person is an enemy of the state, that person does not wish well for the country, and that person, all of us, we should all rise and speak against it.
Okay.
And no matter who is involved, no matter the amount involved, so far as you are trying to frustrate the effort of an agency or anybody who is trying to fight corruption, you are an enemy of the state. And there's nothing that can be more treacherous or the new latest term, how do you even call it?
It's okay. On that note,
no, seriously.
On that note, we will go for a quick break and then we'll continue because Ametam is also saying that NDC is playing politics with this, and we shouldn't be playing politics with this.
Dziffa, I have a comment right after,
on that. Yes, we will talk about that. But right after the break, so we'll talk about the relocation of the passport office. Okay, that's going to cost us some 9.2 million Ghana cedis. Do not go anywhere. And as always, we want to hear from you. Use the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550585832. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, before the break, we were discussing NDC saying MPP should stop going after the Auditor General and focus on the senior minister. And Amoah is also, saying something about it and saying the NDC is being irresponsible by being partisan with Domelevo's issues. So I'm going to quote him briefly. He says, "It is the height of irresponsibility for the NDC to seek to undermine the constitutional office and mandate of the Auditor General by bringing in their usual NDC-NPP politics. They have consistently succeeded in undermining national institutions and national agenda with their NDC-NPP agenda." So I'll let you wrap up, Edward,
yes,
but address what Ametam is saying as well. And of course, he's the Director of National Communications for NPP.
Exactly. Yesterday, I listened to him on Eyewitness
News. Yeah.
And per his logic, people who are commenting on this matter are speaking for the Auditor General. And that people who are commenting on it are actually doing something that they've not been employed to do, sort of.
Specifically the NDC. He was addressing the NDC.
Apart from the NDC, we have civil society organizations, Ghana Integrity Initiative, CDD, and a coalition of CSOs that have also waded into this matter. Individuals are also speaking about it.
Okay.
We have the international community that is also watching. And when this issue is escalated to a certain pedigree, deteriorating one for that matter, I'm sure they'll also add their voice. Look, we are looking at the truth. Nobody is saying Dumelevo is above the law. No. And indeed, if they have the evidence to show that indeed the search charge is illegal and that the amount, the $1 million being paid to Cohen Associates, if really there was work done, provide it. What does it take? A proposal. You take or how do you call it? Pro forma invoice. Okay, you award a contract. Payment is made. Receipt is given. What is more difficult than this? Just provide this thing to show that, okay, there was work done. Your failure or your inability or your unenthusiasm to come up with these documents to substantiate that really there was work done rather puts you to shame that really work was not done.
But the government is challenging the Auditor General's findings in court. So
challenging it in court. Fine, I agree. Let the truth come out.
Okay. So
but in the absence of the truth,
wrap up first.
Any premeditated and conscious machinery deployed to frustrate the Auditor General, all of us who are involved in the fight against corruption will rally behind him, will give him the support that he needs. Because fighting corruption is highly inconsequential to the development of this particular nation.
Excellent. So we'll move on to our next topic here.
You're going to move on, Dziffa.
I thought you said Edward has said it all.
No,
okay, go ahead, Duncan.
Especially when you
bringing in Ametam
the political angle.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
For some of us, it is to be expected. It is to be expected that until they get to a point in Parliament where there's approval for car loans and monies for members. There's some unanimity in their agreement. It is expected that once NDC goes this way, NPP will go the other way. But that is also the bane of our problems. Until and unless a point to come, we get to a point where political actors, even political parties in power, who find some of their appointees, right, behaving in a certain fashion that should not be, as far as our resources are concerned. Until political parties or actors begin to speak against their supposed party persons, the fight against corruption will continue to be lost. And again, until we get to a point where opposition parties also would sometimes see good in certain actions by government itself, in certain actions by government appointees and persons that need commendation, the corruption fight will continue to be lost. Again, it is to be expected that NDC would definitely take a stand in this matter. It is to be expected that the NPP will rubbish everything and suggest everything is fine, all is well. Meanwhile, there have been several reports that suggest that Ghana's fight against corruption, we are retrogressing. And what that means is that we are doing worse now. What that also means is that the agencies that we pay with our monies to fight corruption have failed us and are failing us miserably. Until such a time that EOCO is allowed to operate without political interference, such a time that EOCO would now not go to GMPC and take our oil revenues. EOCO would now sit up and appreciate what the remit of their, what our expectations are of them as a people. Politicians will continue to remotely micromanage these institutions. And what happens is that they rather take the fight against corruption backwards, whereas others are trying to make a certain headway. And so we would say that government appointees, today you are in power. 60 years to come, you are not in power. 20 years to come, you are not in power. If you don't help cure the canker today, the same system, the same monsters you create with EOCO, the same monsters you create with Attorney General, Auditor General, and whatever, will come back to fight you when you are in opposition another day. And so they should all help. Come to the table. If you are given $1 million to do a certain job, Dziffa, it is expected that public funds will not be applied unless there's a procurement process duly done. If there's also a trail, an evidence of that procurement, some advertisement, people should come and bid for a certain job, all of that has been done. We've gone through a competitive tendering process. We've done everything. If that is well documented, I'm not sure Auditor General will have an issue accepting that the monies have been judiciously put to use. Unfortunately, we are going round in circles, and politicians tomorrow will come and tell us, those in power will tell us, oh, we have done so much to fight corruption. Those in opposition will say you've done so little. They will come again, and the same institutions that today are failing us, they will be manipulated by them also to do their own things and to enrich themselves. Dziffa, our roads are bad. They should stop chopping our monies and fix our roads.
Okay, now on that note, we'll move on to our next topic here. I'm reading from citinewsroom.com. It says, relocating passport office for National Cathedral with 9.2 million Ghana cedis not prudent. That's coming from Honorable Ablakwa. So I'm going to read briefly. Ranking Member of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee and Member of Parliament from North Tongu, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, is shocked that the government is to spend 9.2 million Ghana cedis to relocate the passport office. The passport office is being relocated to make way for the construction of the controversial National Cathedral. So I'm going to quote him briefly. He says, we in the minority strongly believe that if the president strongly feels that he should build a national cathedral, he should site this cathedral at the many encumbered lands all over the country. For a really poor country like Ghana, where we cannot even find enough resources to take care of our secondary school students, there are a lot of regional capitals that do not have passport application centers. So if we can find 9.2 million Ghana cedis, there are so many things we can do with that money in terms of national pride. We do not need to spend that money to relocate the passport office. We shouldn't be pulling down that building and spending another 9.2 million cedis in relocating that building alone. We insist the president hasn't been prudent to pull structures to cite the National Cathedral when we are struggling with so many things. Now, government came out to also justify it. So I'm going to read the story from government. It says, government justifies need for relocating passport office for National Cathedral. So I'm going to quote the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister here. Of course, that's Charles Oruedu. He says, a decision has been made to construct the National Cathedral. So he goes on to even talk about the fact that this new passport building would be high-tech. So, you know, the kinds of things that you would need people to manually do, you won't need, because you have technology to actually help us get quality products when we visit our passport offices. So, you know, they were going to build a new passport building anyway. So this is just perfect, and the timing is just right. Duncan.
Dziffa, building of a national cathedral. In principle, I'm sure 99% of Ghanaians have no problem or qualms about it.
Okay.
But sometimes you wonder whether we have thinking people in this country.
Why?
Forgive me.
Why do you say that?
Look at the sort of traffic situation in that enclave. It is terrible. Even on normal day, I mean, people have gone to work, closed, normal working hours. It's terrible. Yet, for some strange, funny reason, we would want to condemn every single edifice in that enclave. Very important national edifices. One of them being the Ghana Maritime Authority.
Yeah.
The judge's residence, passport office. Sometimes you ask, who did this to us, black people?
Well, I don't think it's a race thing.
It's not a race thing, but Dziffa, a country that says we do not have money to provide hospital beds, right? A country that has no money to provide common street lights for motorists who probably have to close late. A country that has no money, Dziffa, sadly, sometimes to support, people with cardiovascular issues. In a country where people struggle to feed once a day, look at our priorities. Completely misplaced. Dziffa, completely misplaced. And we have said this. If you want to go ahead with National Cathedral, make it a point that you would even use that edifice to open up another part of town. Go to the Pram enclave. Use the Kumasi stretch. There's so much of land, you can get enough lands to develop, design, develop something so phenomenal that when Dziffa is looking for land and they say, oh, there's a piece of land around here, Dziffa doesn't mind because there's a national edifice there. Sometimes you can stay there. It would be nice to even have people rent those spaces. We are only seeking to congest further the already congested capital. Dziffa, that is why I keep asking, who did this to us? Somebody has written on Facebook, I wish I could give the person credit, that if he were our Western partners, if he were our bilateral donors who give us money to support our budget, the moment we commence this National Cathedral project, they should all withdraw because Ghana has got so much money, it doesn't know what to do with it. It is not bad to build a cathedral. The Muslims, they built a national mosque. Ask how much of the nation's resources was involved. Zero.
Well, this cathedral too, they will fundraise, right? So it's not as though they're going to use our taxpayers' money.
Dziffa,
they're going to go around
the
diaspora and the lax
the
fundraising
passport
for
office
it.
alone to the tune of 9.2 million cedis. That's over $1 million, $2 million, almost gone.
Almost
passport office. Ghana Maritime Authority, you haven't taken care of. By the time they finish settling the contingency arrangements around the National Cathedral, it could be running into several hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. Monies we claim we do not have. Yet we are willing to let those edifices go. We are looking for a new space for passport office, a new space for maritime authority.
Well, they said we were going to get a new space for the passport office anyway because we want to have, technologically advanced, offices.
Dziffa, if people wake up and they get bad dreams, they should not communicate those dreams as though they are policy.
Okay.
You have a passport office that is functioning. If for any reason you want to add technology, you can remodel, whatever. But if for any reason you would need now to move the entire establishment to another location and it's going to cost the taxpayer 9.2, and your excuse is that you're going to move anyway, you should have moved long ago. You are doing biometric passports over the past 5 years. What technology again are you deploying? The EU passports are biometric. So you are up to, date as far as the passport bit is concerned. What they should.
I think they mentioned Hungary as the country we're trying to, follow as far as the technology is concerned.
Dziffa, I am sorry once again. This whole debate about the National Cathedral, anytime it comes up, I know a lot of people in the homes now, their BPs are boiling. People. I read Senor Jose's piece.
But there are leaders who are also for the National Cathedral. They say they will bring tourism into the country. They will,
yes, every Ghanaian would love to have a National Cathedral. Yeah. But the way and manner with which we are rolling this out leaves a lot to be desired as to whether we are thinking.
Okay.
Senor Jose, let me just conclude quickly. He met, one of his speeches said he met some 2 young undergraduates, and his interaction with them broke his heart.
Why?
These were students who said, oh, we are going through school. They know that after they are just going to stay at home. Dziffa, in a country where job creation is a problem, and you have the central government deploying every available resource at its disposal, not to making sure that there are jute factories, there are cassava factories, there are things all around that students, when they are out of school, they can at least find something to do. We are rather looking to invest all our energies, our resources in a cathedral at an already enclosed area where there's traffic. That clearly for some of us is not forthright thinking. And we think that if they can still put the brakes on at this point, they should.
Okay, thank you very much, Duncan. Edward.
Yeah, Dziffa, I think that wisdom should be upheld irrespective of where it is coming from or who is actually giving it. Now, on this particular score, I associate myself completely with the sentiments being expressed by the Honorable Minister. Let me take off from where Duncan...
And that's Abalakwa?
Yes. Now, let's start with the Muslims National Edifice, located somewhere around Kalkudi. It was financed by the Turkish government. The state had no hand in it. You understand?
We are fundraising for the cathedral from the diaspora as well, amongst others. There are people who want to give money to the cathedral.
When the debate came, when the discussion erupted, the president assured us that state money was not going to be used.
Exactly.
All right. But year in, year out, it's being captured in the budget. Including this particular 2020 budget that was read not too long ago. Monies that will not be coming to the state. Money that will not be used from the state to finance the National Cathedral. Why does it keep finding a space in the national budget year in, year out? Why? Are we being deceived?
Well, the budget is just a projection, right? So it doesn't mean everything in the budget will be addressed.
If there will be fundraising, if there will be fundraising to put up an edifice or to finance a project, and you assure us that state money will not be involved, why do you have to budget for it?
Okay.
Why do you have to budget?
So do you have an issue with the 9.2 million cedis being spent on relocating the passport office?
So the government has just indirectly made us know that state money is going to be involved.
Okay.
And this one is just the final straw that breaks the back of the camel.
Okay.
That they are going to commit state funds in putting out that particular edifice.
Okay.
We are all believers. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. But completely, I'm not in favor of us putting a national cathedral at this particular point in our lives as Ghanaians.
Okay, so are you with Duncan on, yes, cathedral, but move the location to a place where...
I don't even support the cathedral even in the first place.
Okay, so even if they moved it to Pram Pram or Ebri,
look,
you don't...
I'm against it, not because it is irrelevant.
Okay.
I'm against it because it is the state that keeps pumping money in ensuring that this edifice will come, or this edifice will see the light of day.
And the president, they've come out to say that there will be fundraising for this cathedral.
Dziffa,
you and I are not going to pay for it.
When we are talking about a project, okay, let's do some accounting here. You know, when we are talking about the cost of a project, you understand? Whatever cost that is expended in preparing the land or the area befitting for for the start of the actual project alone amounts to the cost of that particular edifice, or it's part of the cost. So we are breaking down structures which for sure we are going to replace them.
Yeah.
That is money.
Okay.
And just this one, relocating of passport office alone
one of the many.
It's 9.2 million judges.
Ghana cedis.
We've not even come to the judges, maritime or whatever. So we are talking about millions of Ghana cedis.
Okay.
The project itself has not even started yet. Looking at what is going on in this country, people cannot get water to drink.
Yeah.
Our roads are very poor. You understand? God in heaven will not even be happy that we are doing this at this particular time.
Okay.
Look, I think that the government must put one thing in its mind, that the electorate can never be taken for granted.
Okay.
And that when you rise to power, if you assume the reins of power based on certain principles, and you assume the power, and you now break those same principles which you promised to govern by, other governments or leaders have paid for it. You understand? And the verdict or the voice of Ghanaians will be heard. I'm just praying that those who are superintending over this particular project, be it the trustees or be it the government, they should just be truthful to themselves.
Okay.
And if they believe so much in the coat of arms and the motto represented by it, freedom and justice, I think this project should be suspended until they do the right thing by raising funds from private individuals, and they should delete that amount in the budget that has been earmarked for this particular project.
Okay. Thank you very much, Edward. We'll move on to our final story, talking about the Ghana Rice Campaign. So the rice millers meet the Ghana Rice Ambassador, Samuel Atamensa, and the John Ajekum Kufuor Foundation. So as part of Citi FM and Citi TV's Eat Ghana Rice Campaign, the John Ajekum Kufuor Foundation, in partnership with lead campaigner Samuel Atamensa, is set to meet some local rice millers today. Over 15 major rice millers across the country are expected to attend the meeting. Nanama, okay, so the policy advisor, John Ajekum Kufuor, has been outlining the focus of the meeting. Now, we know that each region in this country is capable of producing rice for us. And if we are serious about this, Eat Ghana campaign, Eat Ghana Rice campaign, we can actually get to a point where we produce the rice that we consume. So how big of a deal is this news that the millers are meeting with the Rice Ambassador and the John Ajekum Kufuor Foundation?
Dziffa, for me as a Ghanaian, it is a proud moment to now be told that Ghana is able to sustain rice production. We have enough to even feed our people. Yeah. Sadly, social media has also been washed with some negative campaigns, ones that suggest that the rice has got this bit stones. And it
is not true at all. Exactly. I had some last week and they were delicious.
In fact, I had the occasion to even follow the lead ambassador, Mr. Atamensa, to just look at some of the rice brands that we have. And I think that they stand tall to any brand anywhere in the world. The good thing about this will be that unlike what is being imported from China and Vietnam and the other places, these are brands that you probably can say have been bagged less than 3 months ago.
Yeah, and that they're organic as well.
And so you are probably eating a lot fresher rice than what has been bagged and sometimes kept in warehouses for 20 years and 5 years and 10 years and is now being released. So for me, we should put the politics aside. We should put the mischief aside. We should put the running down anything Ghanaian aside. The stones and whatever people peddle, they are completely false. Yeah. The rice, the little I have seen, the little I know, is as good and probably as tasty as anything you would want to have. Just another quick word again. Those producers and the brands should ensure that it's available everywhere. Yeah. Supermarkets, shops, open markets, so that when I go, I have the option of asking
That's
for some
another
Ghana
issue
rice.
on its own, because the supermarkets also should welcome the Ghana rice as well. I think yesterday on Point of View, someone said Ghana rice made up just 6% in our top supermarkets. So this is actually a call to them as well to make space for local rice brands.
Let's use your medium properly. If I went to a supermarket and said I wanted a Ghana brand rice, and they say, oh, they don't have, what they have is the foreign ones, and I walk away.
They will have a
Two
need
people
for it.
come in and they walk away. That is money going.
Yeah.
So we would also have to demand for our own rice, and I'm sure that these supermarkets and superstores and malls and blah blah, they would have no option because that is what the people are asking for.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, I got sad, like I indicated earlier, when I came across the bit of mischief that said they had stones and all of that.
No, that is not true
which
at all.
is not true at all. What I have seen, I think, is even a lot healthier than what has been back for 5 years and is now being released to us in Africa.
Yeah.
So Ghanaians should at least make an effort. Every week you eat 1 cup or 2, you'll be providing jobs to our farmers. And again, I always use the Israel example. A visit to Israel, a country that lives on rocks. Virtually 80% of the Israeli land is rocks. I mean, sedimented rocks here and there. But they have farms, large farms. And I'm sure that if we are looking to even curtail the unemployment situation in Ghana, Dziffa, agric is the way to go because our lands are arable. I mean, you can get anything out of them. Rice is taking the lead. I'm sure that in the not too distant future, if we do our things right, like Senor has done, a big rice plantation in the Volta region, if other Ghanaian investors are putting these farms across, you get a little farmhouse or 2 or 3, get some few entertainment centers. The graduates will be more than willing to go in there and work. So doing, you create jobs, you create wealth, and then we don't also run our foreign exchange as badly as we use $1 billion importing rice, Dziffa.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Edward.
Yeah, Dziffa, I must commend Citi TV, Citi FM, and your chief executive as well. This is a very commendable project. There's nothing that can be more patriotic than this. It's beautiful, it is nice. One problem that I think contributes largely to unemployment in Ghana is the problem of offshoring, where our economy is import dependent. We export the jobs and we are crying at the same time. I think that going forward, the consultation on this should be very broad. We should bring in all the key players. Let's bring in the Exim Bank, the Commodity Exchange, and let's bring in the Ghana Standards Authority. Every key player that is involved with production and distribution, so that we could all agree. We could start small. Because, you know, one advantage that the foreign brands enjoy has to do with, you know, economies of scale. They produce on a large scale. So the unit cost of production actually comes down, which affects the pricing as well.
Yeah, but our rice, they're actually more affordable than the imported rice.
We cannot match up to them at a go. It's gradual. The most important thing is that let's all support to create the market. It's the market that makes the difference. From the start, government could even agree that all secondary, as part of the free SHS, every rice that will be prepared on the menu, we should use local rice. That alone, I think, if that alone should continue for 2 years, it is a big injection into that particular economy, and I believe that the rice economy can grow. It has lots of prospects.
Thank you very much. Edward Tuttor is the convener of the Dynamic Youth Movement of Ghana, and of course, Duncan Amoah is the Executive Secretary of COPEC. Thank you.
Please say hi to Bernard Owusu.
Hi, Bernard Owusu. Thank you so much for staying with us. And we have a message here from you guys, but I can only read one. Francis Citizen says, Christmas is lurking around the corner, and we can make a conscious effort to abandon the perfumed rice of the lands beyond the Gulf of Guinea and embrace our own brands. We grow our economy by giving employment to thousands of youth. We keep our currency in check if we don't import rice. So we hope all of you guys will be joining us on the 14th and 15th as we consciously shop made in Ghana food stuff for the Christmas season. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube,
for exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
like, comment, and share with your friends.